Hey everyone! With Uldir coming out very soon, I wanted to put together a Holy Paladin raiding suggested talent guide and a few resources at the end that could help improve your raid healing performance. I already made a video for Mythic and 5-man dungeons, which I linked in the description below, so if you're curious about that, check it out. One thing to note is that in this guide I mention what talent I recommend and what I will be using, but I leave many rows open to your own judgment. Each raid boss fight is different, and as a result, some of these chosen talents are situational. Starting with Tier 1, my go-to has always been Bestow Faith. It's a great spell to cast on cooldown, especially aiding in our tank healing, and it's just great for overall healing output. But one could argue that Crusader's Might is just as good for raid progression. Think about it, it reduces the cooldown of your Holy Shock and Light of Dawn by 1.5 seconds. So that's more frequent casting of a couple of our more essential heals, and you're helping contribute to the raid with the added DPS of your Crusader strikes. Now as for Light's Hammer, I generally would only recommend using this talent if you know that your raid is going to be stacked closely together. I think Light's Hammer shines in those situations. It heals up to 6 nearby allies within its radius. Of course, you could just constantly cast this over the raid boss and hope that your 2 tanks and melee will be inside the circle, but if there's a lot of movement going on, you may want to stick with either Bestow Faith or Crusader's Might. Since Uldir is new and I'll be learning the fights alongside my guild, I'm personally going to start off with Bestow Faith. It's also really mana efficient too, so it'll help me manage my mana pool. Now let's check out Tier 2. Right off the bat, I wouldn't recommend using Cavalier unless you're having serious issues running away from mechanics and bad things. That being said, if you're looking to focus more on defense, Unbreakable Spirit is a strong defensive talent as it reduces the cooldowns of your Divine Shield, Protection, and Lay on Hands, which are all what I like to call our oh shit buttons. And as a side note, I also consider BOP an oh shit button too. As for raiding, I strongly believe the best talent to use is Rule of Law. It maximizes the effectiveness of your Mastery Lightbringer and also increases the range of all of your heals. This is particularly useful in raids because, for the most part, everyone is spread out all over the place. With 2 charges, Rule of Law expands the range of your heals to help land heals that your spells normally wouldn't reach. My default choice is going to be Rule of Law. None of the talents in Tier 3 will help with your healing. I don't believe you'll be needed to do as much CC as a Holy Paladin, so I'd rule out Repentance right away. As for Fist of Justice or Blinding Light, I'd say it's based on your personal preference with whichever you'd prefer to use, helping your raid clear trash or adds that spawn during boss fights that aren't immune to our stuns or disorients. Your choice here. Tier 4 is an interesting row. In short, Devotion Aura should be considered the default talent pick for this row, and it was also my suggestion for running Mythics too. Although Aura of Sacrifice's damage reduction cooldown has the potential to be stronger than Devotion, it's just not as stable. The problem with Aura of Sacrifice is when you drop below 75% health, the aura is no longer effective. In raids, with a lot of burst damage going around, it's hard to predict, especially early on, if this is going to be effective. If you can keep your health above 75%, sure. But will you have to pop other cooldowns to ensure that? I think in this situation, Devotion will be much more dependable and reliable, at least in the beginning of raiding to start. Perhaps once you get used to running these boss fights regularly, and know for a fact you can control your HP in a more stabilized way, Sacrifice may end up being the best choice for you. Now, if you're too conflicted between Devotion and Sacrifice, Aura of Mercy's Aura Mastery cooldown is kinda like a diet Aura of Sacrifice from Legion. It can provide a nice amount of raid healing throughout the encounter, and it's not a bad choice at all, especially if you're conflicted. Alternatively, if you have another Holy Paladin in the raid using Devotion or Sacrifice, communicate them to see which auras to use. Judgment of Light has always been great for maintaining your mana during long boss fights and is great for progression, with a nice light heal effect from attackers attacking the judged target. Holy Avenger is also a very solid choice. I like using Holy Avenger because you could essentially chain Avenging Wrath and Holy Avenger back to back to have an extended period of cooldown usage. Holy Prism could be very situational based on placement. It's not a terrible choice, but not nearly as mana efficient as Judgment. Just like Light's Hammer, I think Holy Prism is good when the raid is more or less stacked up close together. I made a video talking about the benefits of Avenging Crusader, which I've linked in the description below. In short, to summarize, it's a very solid choice as long as you're able to maintain melee range for the encounter to cast your Crusader Strike and Judgment on the boss while your wings are popped. If there's a lot more movement and a lot of ranging going on, Sanctified Wrath is a more solid choice. Therefore, I'd say it's situational based on the boss mechanics and where you'll be standing to decide which talent to choose here. As for Awakening, I wouldn't completely rule this out, but would really only recommend it when your raid group is stacked closely together so that you could gain max benefit from this spell. Beacon of Faith is the most solid talent here. Simply put, it allows you to put a beacon on both of your tanks. With tank healing being one of a Holy Paladin's specialties, this fortifies your role and really assists in helping keep your tanks alive. Beacon of Virtue doesn't hold as much water in a raid compared to Beacon of Faith. As for Divine Purpose, if there's only one tank that needs healing in a specific boss encounter, you may want to consider using this over Beacon of Faith. When there are definitely 2 tanks that will need healing, Beacon of Faith is my choice. So, those are my Holy Paladin talent recommendations for BFA raid content. What do you guys think? Do you agree with these choices? What would you change or use differently? I'm curious to hear in the comments below. I'll be live streaming Tuesday nights reset day raid runs with my guild, so feel free to stop by the live stream to say hi or chat with me about Holy Paladin talents. Now, one thing I want to show you guys real quick is this nifty site that I discovered not too long ago. I recommend checking out WoW Analyzer after you raid. I plan to make another video about this in the future, but in short, you put in your character name, realm, and run the search button. Then, you're given a plethora of useful information and tips as to how you can improve your gameplay. Definitely recommend checking it out. What other useful sites or add-ons do you guys use to help analyze and improve your gameplay? I'm always looking for new suggestions. Thanks for tuning in, and if you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, opinions, feedback, please let me know in the comment section below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, but more importantly, you can subscribe to my channel to show some support or follow my live stream on Twitch. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.